Sports Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
That's why I told our kids enjoy the moment, whether it's a play, whether it's a win. Now they've shown how to lock in. They've shown that they can do it.
For the most part, pretty sharp to start the game, and able to get some guys in and get some guys some experience that haven't had that opportunity. So I think it kind of shows when guys get reps, we got good athletes that sometimes don't get their chance to.
Watching the tape, we knew that they had some weapons, and we knew that we were kind of vulnerable in the past, and we need to get a lot better. I think that kind of exposed some things.
Third down goal to go for the Chiefs at the 3-yard line. Mahomes looking right, back of the end zone, caught, touchdown, Kansas City.
Told me at the last minute, but there's some things with Trav where he kind of just says it, and you're like, you don't know if it's true or not. He says it so calmly. I think she's coming to the game today, and then just moved about his business. To the game this weekend, and moved about his business. So you're kind of like, I don't know. It's just Travis.
Ariels in motion. They pitch to A-Chain. Off the left side, 40, 50. He's gone. 30. Nobody's going to catch the A-Chain. Touchdown, Miami.
It's tired of losing, man. I've been here for 7 years, and all I've done is lost, and it's frustrating.
Coach, I think it's now 108 years since you guys have gone 4-0, back-to-back seasons. When you kind of hear that number, what kind of goes through your mind when you hear that?
I'm glad I didn't do all my research. Sometimes you don't know what you're really stepping into till you get there, but I tell you what, I'm really proud of them.
And welcome to Sports Day on 1590 KVGB, 95.5 FM, the talk of the town, new week. It's a Monday show here on KVGB. Steve Webster with you today, joined by Aaron Clark.
How's it going?
Mike Corson.
Hello.
And our executive producer today, Mr. Landon Winkler.
Hola.
I like that, bringing it today. Mike Hesher is here. Anytime he goes out to Colorado, we wonder if he's going to return or not. But he was in the building today, so Mike Hesh will be back tomorrow.
Usually he's not back on a Monday after going to Colorado, so kudos to him.
Well, I'm just glad he got back safely and wasn't pulled over by law enforcement or anything like that. So he'll be back here on the show tomorrow. Okay, on our program today, Aaron Clark will be a guest on the show. We'll break down Great Bend's 55-0 victory over Southeast on Friday night. Jim Mazunas will check in via the phone today, Great Bend Tribune sports editor, and Mike Corson going on the prowl with Great Bend Cross Country coach Lyles Lashley, who had a heck of a weekend with Great Bend Cross Country. We'll talk more about that coming up. Let's get to our sounds the past 24 hours or so. Head coach Aaron Beck, well, his team got back to focus. 55-0 over Wichita Southeast. Figured there was going to be a win, Aaron, but I asked you this morning, they were sharp.
Absolutely, especially in the run game. We really saw that get to take off in this game more than they have in the past, and I'm sure that'll be talked about all week. I'm excited to dig into it when we talk more Panther football a little bit later.
Okay, Zach Baird, the Cardinals we're going to have a full studio Wednesday. It's going to be football. We're going to have the Great Bend Panthers in here since we have Royals baseball. Of course, they're making their push to get into the playoffs. So they'll be on Thursday. So we'll have Great Bend Panther football on Wednesday. We'll also have Hoisington football on Wednesday. And we're also going to have Great Bend Panther volleyball on Wednesday with Shelley Duvall. So anyway, Zach Baird talking about his team, 63-6. You know, one of the easiest jobs there is in high school sports right now is running the clock at Hoisington home football games, because you don't have to turn it on or off because it's always running in the second half. 63-6, they beat Southwestern Heights to remain unbeaten. Now they get the Pratt Greenbacks coming up on Friday.
I hear there's going to be some pretty high-class, top-tier media at that Pratt-Hoisington game on Friday.
I think Cake's going to be there, probably KSC.
When Mike Corson shows up, you know it's a big game. You'll be on the sidelines at Zerger Field. For over 100 years, the home of college and high school football in Pratt.
Here it's one of the better venues in all of Kansas.
Yeah, that's it.
Those who know, that's what they say.
Exactly. So that's coming up, so we'll have more Cardinal football. Larned football, 56-12 over Nickerson. What in the Larned's going on? They're 3-1 right now. They've won 3 straight, and we'll have a chance to move to 4-1 when they play Cimarron on Friday.
And Cimarron,
Brady Keith talking about their pass defense needs to get fixed a little bit.
I love the tone from Coach Keith there, because even after a win, he's not letting them get too big. He's still saying, like, there's obvious things they need to work on. There's things they need to try to get better at, and he's going to make sure they know that. But 56-12, that's got to feel good for Larned and have a pretty good shot to try to move to 4-1 against a Cimarron team that's a little down on their luck this year.
You know, Brady's a young guy, but he's already got that football coach voice.
Watching the tape, we knew that they had some weapons, and we knew that, you know, we were kind of vulnerable in the past, and we need to get a lot better. You know,
see, that's football coach's voice.
It is. It's got that kind of low drone quality while still being able to like have some inflection to it, get his point across, and just also sounds already so tired of talking to us media guys after games. It's incredible. He's 4 games in, and he's already tired of the post-game interview.
I know I mentioned the Hoisington clock operators. There were a lot of clock operators that weren't doing anything in the second half over the weekend. They weren't doing anything in the second half down at Pratt. Running clock, Cheney 49, Pratt 0.
And I think if I had maybe done my research and looked up that score before committing to Pratt, maybe I'd go somewhere else. I thought they were 3-1 or 4-0. It turns out they're 2-2.
Cheney's pretty good. What is it about that area in there? It's like Andale's in that area. Then
good quarterback in Cheney.
There's got to be something in the water.
They're zipping right now. 49-zip. They beat Pratt. It's a running clock in Ellenwood in the second half. They fall to Hutch Trinity 35-8, so the Eagles lose their first game. Russell loses to Beloit 30-12. That clock operator had to work the whole game. Other games, not the case. Running clocks. There was a lot of people at home early on Friday.
There was. It was
games ending at halftime. Victoria 48, Central Plains 0. Kinsley picked up a win over South Barber, who was previously undefeated, 56-30. La Crosse 56, Kiowa County 6. John Webster was in his chair probably by 10:30. Trigo over Maxville 46-0. Sylvan Lucas 46, Otis Bison 0. Wichita County 52, St. John 0. And South Central beat Stafford by the score of 48-0.
Looking here at the schedule, Andale obviously has that longest winning streak in the nation. October 13th, Cheney's going to run the table easily until then. That's probably going to be your premier game of the entire state.
Are you going to be there?
Possibly.
Okay. I didn't know if they let you venture that far.
They probably will bring the big boys for that one because it will probably have some history on the line.
What do you mean the big boys? That's what I mean.
That's what you
will
are.
Be there.
Well, I got a little junk camera, and so they got the nice cameras.
Okay.
Can't spell master class without MC. That's Mike Corson, baby.
Call on B1043, the point yesterday. The Chiefs score their last touchdown of the game in the first half. Travis Kelce, a 3-yard touchdown pass from Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs led 41-0 at halftime. They win the game 41-10. Man, it was nice to have a laugher for a change for the Chiefs. They just kind of play around with teams and play around. That one was over very, very early.
I did see Mahomes was walking around a little gingerly out there on the field. I did see he's feeling fine. Just got a little rolled up on, but he has told the Chiefs media that he's fine. And like you said, kind of nice to not have to have a heart attack in a Chiefs game or sweat out a close one. Got out there, did play it how the fans knew they're capable of playing, and took care of business against the Bears team that moves to 0-3.
It was a double dip of happiness for Chief fans and Chief fans who
I, for one,
who are Swifties.
It's probably their first football game, so they almost should have. Back in the day, they put the little red circle around the puck, or they'll like the Nickelodeon graphic and teach the newbies how to watch football.
Well,
but
there's
here's
the
Travis Kelce. He's, I'm going to kick the ball in the stands. So I was already mad at him, and then he didn't kick the ball in the stands when he scored.
Well,
boring.
He probably should have thrown the ball up at the press box. Taylor Swift at the football game. And Patrick Mahomes asked about if Travis Kelce had mentioned that she was going to be at the game. He said he kind of just mentioned, yeah, she's going to be there, and then just went on doing his stuff. No big deal.
I like that he said you can never quite be sure what Travis is saying if it's actually true or not, which I'm curious what he's said before that wasn't true. He's like, yeah, you know, from what I've heard, Marshawn Lynch, she's going to be at our game this year. It's like, well, I don't know if that's necessary. It's like, yeah, Tony Gonzalez is going to be making a trip. He throws out Taylor Swift. Who knows if he's actually telling the truth? All of a sudden, you look up, see her up there with Mama Kelce in the suite.
Do you think they knew how big a deal it was going to be? I mean, it really overshadowed the game, which is nuts.
Well, it wasn't that good of a game to overshadow, though, all things considered.
Phil G was in here, said she's had like 12 or 13 boyfriends. So
I had a chat with him. A couple of those were questionable. We're going to lower that number. 7 to 9.
But this was a huge deal for you, though. So, as we were talking about, how do you get Taylor Swift to come to your football game? You just ask. I'm sure she would love to go down to Pratt and see that game and be with her fella down there, down on the sidelines down at Zerger Field on Friday. Just ask.
Yeah, she thought.
What's the worst she could do?
Yeah,
what's the worst she could do? Say no?
From a big shot like Corson? Not a chance.
The Chiefs 41-10. And then, remember last year the Chiefs said, boy, their schedule's that's going to be treacherous the whole year. And then they got into it. All these teams that thought were going to be good weren't going to be good. And the game that everybody had circled was next week when the Chiefs went to New York to take on the Jets. That thing's kind of fizzled out a little bit right now, hasn't it?
The schedule makers have to just be shaking their head. You can't flex a game before week 8, so all the Jets in prime time have to stay there. Now we get to watch a Zach Wilson-led Jets team try to play a Kansas City.
No one is more torqued off about that than NBC.
Oh, absolutely.
Ouch.
But it will be the Jets. So that's a Sunday night game?
Sunday night, prime time.
Sunday night games are the best, man. NBC, they do it up big time.
And it's still going to be a good defense. Just, I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Jets' offense to be able to function with Zach Wilson.
Is the Chiefs' defense improved? Chris Jones playing like a madman, and the defensive line.
And we're seeing some steps from other guys. Carl Loftus has really been showing some stuff this year. Mike Dana. I've been really impressed with him, not only because, and maybe I just wasn't paying attention to the passages, he's shown a lot more versatility on the line, being able to flex inside and rush from the edge and produce from both spots there. But Nick Bolton.
If there's a player other than Kelce or Patrick Mahomes that the Chiefs could not afford to lose, I think it'd be Bolton.
He's just such a force on that defense. Coming out of Missouri a couple years ago, he had top-end speed. The only question was going to be if he could get the reads right, because in college he kind of struggled on biting on plays and biting on play fakes that weren't necessarily there. He's got incredible vision now. It feels like he can sniff out when it's a run, when it's a pass.
And he's a good tackler.
Yeah,
he's
wraps
like a
up
cobra, man. He comes in and bites you, man. You just go down.
Exactly what you want from your middle linebacker, having that ranginess over the middle and the security that if someone does make a catch, he's bringing them down for a 3 or 4 yard gain, favorable for your defense.
All right. The call on WQAM, the A-Chain. Devon A-Chain seals a game, 67-yard touchdown run, and that gave the Dolphins the margin they needed to beat the Broncos, 70-20 yesterday. Franchise record for the Dolphins, just the 4th team in NFL history to score 70-plus points a game. You heard Garrett Bowles, what wasn't bleeped out, offensive tackle for the Broncos, asked after the game, well, how are you feeling? Bleep, bleep.
It's an entertainment business. You get a record that most people will never see again, and you choose not to kick it. This isn't 4th grade where you don't have control over your roster. These are professional athletes making tens of millions of dollars. kick the ball on him, get the 73 points, break the record.
Especially, I mean, this
It
is
is
a
the
guy.
NFL. Isn't that what they do in boxing? You know, you throw the white towel out in the ring, and then everybody just goes home. The match is over.
That's what they should have had a running clock. We need to get a running clock rule. It is funny. We're alleging, according to Sean Payton, one of the worst coaching jobs in NFL history, Nathaniel Hackett. He had the Broncos at 2-1 last year, coming off of an 11-10 win over the Kyle Shanahan-led 49ers.
Wow.
So Sean Payton's got a little bit of a ground
I can
to
see the
make up
Broncos
there.
losing, but not their defense giving up 70 points.
I was gonna say, it's just an impressive amount of points to give up. It sounds like a video game score.
That's what it looked like, too.
Just
watch out for the Dolphins, man.
Well, and they're saying Miami's now the team to beat, but, man, it's just hard to put your money on Miami with Tua. He's just kind of a little fragile.
Another thing, they have the next-gen stats charts how fast players move on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Miami Dolphins has the top 6 recorded speeds this year between Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, and Devin Achane. It's all through the first 3 weeks of the season. Miami Dolphins top 6 fastest movements on the field.
Do the Chiefs play the Dolphins in Kansas City?
No, that is in Germany.
Oh, that's that silly game. They're going to move.
Frankfurt.
That's a hotbed of NFL football.
Oh, yeah. If you're trying to drum up international draw, though, that is a heck of a game that even a casual fan is going to realize, like, wow, we may be able to see some points put up. We should go
get
check
up
out
in the
that
morning
game.
and it gets you Bloody Mary. It's going to start like at 9 o'clock in the morning. I get another game. I mean, Mike Horson shows up for the Worlds, out in the West Coast.
That's what I'm going to do.
That's a world-class event. He was
Taylor
there.
will go. I don't know.
See, I'm going to
You
take
ever been
the
to
course, and
Germany?
I'm just going to reach out to as many companies as I can and see if any of them want me to cover that game in Germany for
Well, I
them.
don't know. Corson's got to, and I think at that game, the media guys are going to have the opportunity to return a punt. So,
I have to get my passport first.
okay. And our final sound of the weekend, Lance Leipold. How did he feel when told that KU hadn't been 4-0 in back-to-back seasons in over 100 years? He didn't know that. He said, well, maybe I should have done my research before I accepted this job.
Well, I texted Clark right before the game. I think I was going to get pizza. I think it was only 36 years at 3-0, so it's remarkable that bumping it up to 4-0 bumps it back another 70 years. If you watch that game, I rarely feel sorry for people, but Kobe Bryant laid a hit on one of the kids, and he coughed it up.
And then he picked it up and scored a touchdown.
If you watch the kid, he's like bouncing around on the turf afterwards, and they took his helmet. I legit felt sorry for that kid.
And
it was a smash.
A smash in the perfect form. It wasn't, it wasn't targeting, except he targeted the entire body and flattened him. So KU ranked 24th. This has got to be under the skin for K-State fans because they're just out of the rankings right now. It's kind of like last year when KU got off that ended up a 5-0 start, and then
Jalen
K-State,
Daniels.
everybody was, K-State's kind of on the back burner, even though they were doing okay. I think it may be the same thing. I mean, KU's going to get into they go to Texas. Of course, last time they played there, they were horrible and won 57-56 in 4 overtimes.
It was an electric game. Definitely the stiffest competition KU's faced this season, trying to go into Texas against a squad that looks pretty good. It'll be interesting to see the Sunflower Showdown this year with, like you said, a lot of people hyping up KU might give some bulletin board material for K-State.
But KU has one of the prettier offenses to watch. Jalen Daniels, beautiful passer, but running the option. I love the option. And he is a bona fide threat as a runner. And some other targets out there, too. So
I wasn't sure if they'd win that game. I did. Yeah, no, it is. BYU. They went to Arkansas and won on the road. So, that's a good win. But I think that was, I'm not saying it's a statement win beating BYU, but it shows that they have moved to the next level.
Especially
not maybe the tallest level, but the next level compared to what KU's been at. That was a big win.
Especially against a quarterback like Keaton Slavis. He started his career at USC, and he was a talented quarterback, but his big thing was just inconsistency. That's kind of why he just had to bounce around. And now he had a pretty good game against KU, seeing their defense be able to stifle a quarterback who really was playing pretty well, encouraging for the KU defense.
And kind of fun to see the new teams. I know UCF put out an awesome graphic of like the horsemen riding up to Bill Snyder Family Stadium. Awesome graphic. Watched OU Cincinnati. Tremendous atmosphere with that student body with the black and red sticks that clap. Canick was impressive from Hayes. Ended up going out with, he couldn't catch his breath and had, quote, some blood. So they were putting him in the ambulance. So hope that turned out okay. He was all over the place.
One thing KU needs to do, protect Jalen Daniels a little bit better. They put some heat on him on Saturday. So there you go, sounds of the weekend. K-State, that's Friday night game. I didn't pay any attention. That's a week from Friday. So K-State gets a week off. KU goes to Texas on Saturday. So there you go, sounds of the weekend. We'll come back. We'll talk Great Bend Panther football and look ahead to that game against Dodge City. Jim Azunas will be with us. And Mike Corson going on the prowl. That's a little bit tighter. You know, you're getting there. You're getting there.
That was on me. At first, I thought you just said on the first one. I thought you were going to do like on
That's
the.
I screwed you up there. Okay. So it's all coming up here on Sports Day on KVGB.
When it comes to car maintenance, it's good to know a local guy that can get things done. The Eller family has been in the auto repair business in Great Bend forever. Greg Eller continues that long tradition of helping people. Eller Automotive Repair specializes in wheel alignments, oil changes, and general maintenance for all makes and models of cars and small trucks. Open 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4 Fridays. Eller Automotive Repair at 915 Morton, right behind Great Bend Appliance, Furniture, and Sleep Source, 10th and Morton.
Attention high school seniors, the time to think about that next step is right now. Get everything set up in a few hours at Barton Community College's Senior Day on November 8th. At Barton, you can take classes, transfer to a university, or enroll in a technical program. Did we mention we have $6,000 in scholarships up for grabs? Sign up online now through November 1st at seniorday.bartoncccc.edu to attend.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Amy Herrera, Regional Retail Manager for your local Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time and I've helped many people navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people. I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you how we're committed to serving you in our communities. At Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
It's time to dig deep into Great Bend Panther football on Sports Day as we bring you the voice of the Panthers, Aaron Clark.
55-0. Do we want to move on to Dodge City?
I mean, we can talk about it a little bit, right? It's always fun to. We're media guys. We have the luxury of being able to both linger on a win a little bit while also look into the future sometimes.
All right, Aaron Clark with us on a Panther update. Brought to you in part by Eller Automotive Repair, local mechanic that can help behind Great Bend Appliance, Furniture, and Sleep Source, and American Plains Co-op Bulk Fuel Department, your certified Cenex lubricant dealer in Great Bend. Knew the Panthers going to win, but I know that last week was probably those are never fun practices. Attention to detail week, and I think that's what Aaron Beck indicated they were doing last week, and the attention to detail must have been pretty good.
And that's what Coach Beck kind of iterated. He told me he was fired up a lot more than he is in a typical practice. I think he said he was chewing people out more than he's ever in a practice in a week leading up to a game before. And with the way things went at Buhler, I think that's completely warranted. They didn't play a clean game there. They need to get things cleaned up mentally, physically, just get things on the same page with people. And heading into the week, they actually lost their starting center, Carter Brown, to an ankle injury. And so that could spell disaster for an offensive line that has had some trouble running the ball, has had some inconsistencies in being able to get movement up front. And so they move right guard Tatum Harper over. And they actually get Aiden Davidson, a kid who came back. His first week was against Buhler. He's coming off of a knee injury. So this week against Southeast was his first week starting. He moved into that right guard spot. And so the Panthers, we saw a little bit of the snap trouble from Tatum Harper. It's his first week, first game, having to do that. And anyone who knows about playing on the offensive line there, snapping's an entirely entirely separate skill set from being able to block. Not only being able to get your hand up quickly against a nose shade that typically is going to be head up or maybe just a half shade off of you, being able to snap and get your hand up that quickly is immensely challenging. And the Panthers were able to get some incredible run lanes for Cody Miller, who really put up a dominant night. 23 carries, 198 yards, 5 touchdowns. And I don't know the last time we saw a Great Bend running back with that kind of a stat line. The Panthers were getting it to him early and often, and worked for him.
I think Cody likes playing Southeast because I think he went for like 135 against him last year. So, around 350 yards the last 2 meetings with Wichita Southeast for Cody.
And I think it was 7 touchdowns because I think he had 2 there last year. So the Buffaloes don't quite have Miller figured out. And something that was nice to see was all the motion that Great Bend was using. Coach Beck talked about how against Buhler, they got to the Crusaders were able to just go man of the man against Great Bend, and they couldn't quite figure out how to get that played against. Against Southeast, we saw a lot of motion, a lot of and it wasn't even necessarily what you might consider relevant motion because they would run the same kind of motion on unrelated plays. You might see a motion where if it was a quick swing out pass one time, and then that same little bubble motion to the outside is a dive up the middle on the next. So trying to keep teams off balance. And something else going forward, we saw a double pass from Daxton Mittens, swings it out to Maddox Spray, looking like it's just going to be your normal quick screen that they have thrown pretty frequently to Maddox. He ends up lobbing it 30 yards downfield to a wide-open Ian Premer. I love to see that against this team because while it may seem like they
like that play a lot.
They do. It's something Great Bend's ran in the past with some frequent success.
Well, getting it out in open spaces to Maddox. So, that's another one to just throw up there. Okay, we've got that in there, so don't start crashing down.
Exactly, because that's exactly what you want to put on film. Because now the safety that has to play in deep against that quick game is going to have in the back of his mind, oh, man, what if that Spray kid chucks it up again? Where's the Premer kid? Is he behind me?
Yep.
Got to put that little bit of doubt, that little bit of hesitation that could be the difference maker in Maddox Spray having some space on a screen in the future.
Okay. Connor Nichols said Friday the WAC is wide open. And after we saw Garden City take out Hayes on Friday night, and he said of all the 5 teams in there, probably the team that would be, if you ranked them 1 to 5, it'd be real close, but the team that would be on the bottom would be Dodge City. Well, they gave Liberal a pretty good game, 21-7. Thoughts on the Red Demons coming up Friday?
I think it's going to be a great matchup for Great Bend. It's 2 teams that are coming off of losses in WAC play. They're both going to come in with a loss. Dodge City, 2 Liberal. Hayes beat Great Bend in week 2. So it's going to be a great chance for Great Bend to kind of springboard their WAC play if they can come out and have the same run success that they had against Southeast. And obviously, Southeast is a team that struggles from year to year. You don't want to assume you can do that in this week against WAC play. But if they can have just the mentality that we're going to run the ball, it felt like a different game against Southeast where Great Bend stayed dedicated to the run. And I think they could have a chance to do that. I haven't got to see the box score from Liberal and Dodge, but Liberal only scoring 21. I believe that's their lowest point total all season. We've seen Liberal have some really explosive plays from a senior quarterback. And Dodge, looking forward to seeing a game that has been pretty back and forth over the years, but Dodge and Great Bend had some real classics in there.
Garden City beats Hayes 24-21, Liberal over Dodge 21-7. So, and here we go again this week. So it'll be another dash, Liberal, Garden City.
I'm an incredible week for WAC matchups. I think we're going to learn a lot about the WAC this week. Garden City always feels like they have some big bodies up front, going to be playing Liberal, and just going to finally get into the WAC play where we get to kind of shake out the conference. It's teams we're familiar with, get a little bit of a conference rivalry in there. Should be a great opportunity for the Panthers.
And at this time of year, we're 4 weeks in, and you start getting the bumps and bruises, the dings. You mentioned the injury to the center position for Great Bend. Other than that, pretty much good health right now?
I believe so. I think Trenton Kern is not really limiting play time, but he's dealing with, I think it's a tweaked groin, something in there, which tough, but a lot of times you hear a player playing through a tweaked groin. It's something that if you have the mentality to get through, a lot of times you can. It's something you can nurse in the off season. And we saw Trenton Kern. It was actually a pretty fun sequence where Trenton Kern went in, got a tackle for a loss against the run play. I think it was for like 1 or 2 yard loss. On the next play, they run a screen. Cale Kern crashes down, gets, I think, a tackle for no gain on the screen play. Nice little 1-2 combo there from the young Kern boys.
Okay. That's coming up. Dodge City. Then 2 weeks. Who do they got?
Is that Ulysses?
The Ulysses. I think that's it. You're right. So
Because then they go Ulysses, Liberal. Nice little road trip.
Yep. Liberals per 3 hours. No matter
3
which way
hours.
you
It's
go.
going to be great time for telling some sports stories.
All right, Aaron, thanks.
Thank
Great
you.
call on Friday night. We'll take another break. We're going to come up. We're going to talk to Great Bend Tribune's Jim Mazunas. Sports Day brought to you in part by Venture Corporation, reminding you to help a neighbor and shop local when you can. And the Barton Cougar Booster Club continuing their efforts to make the Barton Athletic Department the best in the country.
If you need physical therapy, consider Advanced Therapy in Great Bend and Progressive Therapy in Larned and Hayes.
There's nothing like A-STEM therapy.
Or no
This is
clothing.
Tim Marcus from
Parents are
Progressive Physical
reminded-
Therapy in Hayes. Research shows A-STEM therapy improves muscle performance and neural functioning. It's highly effective for those dealing with tennis elbow, carpal tunnel, sports injuries, and general aches and pains.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
At NextTech Wireless, it's wireless on your terms. You pick a 36, 24, or 18-month agreement and get a device on us like the iPhone 14 or the new Google Pixel 7. Stuck in a contract with your current provider? Switch now and get up to $1,000 per line. For more details, stop by your nearest NextTech Wireless location today or call or text our customer care team at 877-621-2600. NextTech Wireless, home on the range.
Venture Corporation is a homegrown company with almost 50 years of experience in asphalt, paving, and construction, and they need equipment operators, mechanics, and CDL drivers. Venture offers many benefits, including 401k and Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Call Leslie for all the details. Work for a family-owned and family-oriented company that is here today and will be here in the future. Venture Corporation, South Highway 281, Great Bend, is an equal opportunity employer.
He's covered more big games than anyone else in the Golden Belt. He might be on your sideline, in your gym, or just about anywhere there's a game. Sports Day presents the Great Bend Tribune's Jim Mazunas.
All right, Jim Mazunas joining us here on Sports Day. Sports Day brought to you in part by Equity Bank. More than 40 locations throughout Kansas, including Great Bend, Larned, Maxville, and St. John. EquityBank.com. And by NextTech Wireless. Experience wireless built by Kansans for Kansas. I only know two Chicago Bear fans. One is Craig Fletchall, and the other is Jim Mazunas, who was also at the game yesterday. Did you stay the entire game, Jim, or did you take off early?
Well, we stayed till the bitter end. We wanted to make sure that the Bears got a touchdown there, so that was nice.
Did you see Taylor Swift?
Well, you can see her through the window. Yeah, I mean the crowd says, "Oh, there's Taylor. She's over here, over there." Who would think that Jerome Tang's claim to fame of banging the drum would be forgotten by the time kickoff started? But there was somebody else more famous than Jerome Tang in the house.
Wow.
Because Jerome banged the drum, which is quite a ceremonial thing for the Chiefs. Their tailgates are just epic, though. And we were there a little bit about the game here in a minute, how we got in and that. Their tailgates are just epic, man. They're there 3 hours before the game, and it's amazing. The Chiefs are.
What do you have on?
Just amazing.
What do you have on your grill?
Well, we didn't have anything on the grill because how we got in the game was my son Jordan, who lives in Mission. He volunteered to go to the Trent Green Golf Charity Classic and help as a volunteer and control the crowd, make sure the ruffians didn't get out of hand. They had a different raffle item. So he saw, well, here's a Chiefs game. His Chiefs game, 2 tickets, parking, and sideline pass hour before the game. Dude, I'll bid a couple bills on that. And sure enough, they call him up the next day. Guess who won? What game is it? Oh, it's the Bears game. Oh, my goodness. He just about fell out of the seat.
Did you go down there with him?
Yeah, absolutely. An hour before the game, you're 5 yards off the sideline. So the interesting thing about the Trent Green Golf Charity Classic, 20 years ago, 2003, I bought my son a ticket to the Bears and Chiefs game in Arrowhead Stadium. Starting quarterback for the Chiefs, Trent Green. 20 years later, it's the Trent Green Golf Charity Classic that gets us into the game 20 years later.
Who won the game 20 years ago?
It didn't turn out too well. The Chiefs had clinched everything. The Bears played Rex Grossman, the guy from Colorado, Cordell Stewart, and some unknown name quarterback. It was 31-3.
Would you?
So when it was 41-3, I think it's going to be worse than last time.
Would you rather have those quarterbacks now?
Yeah. Grossman wasn't too bad, but yeah, they have a lot of issues. When your claim to fame about the quarterback for the Chiefs, that your defensive end Dominique Robinson, the only time you touch the quarterback for the opposing team is when you get thrown into the quarterback's legs. That's the only time you touch the quarterback named Mahomes, who rushes like 5 times for 50 yards, and of course that was the only time they touched him, and that's never a good thing. However, the Bears did have one advantage. They were way better on quarterback sneak than the Chiefs. They were 2 for 2 and got 2 first downs.
See,
you got to choose your issues when you can. So we won a quarterback sneak.
Jim Mizunas with us, Great Bend Tribune on the pro, and you got to go with your kid, man. That was just like a perfect day yesterday. Other than the fact the Bears were playing, and you're rooting for the Bears, but other than that, man.
And we were on the Bears sideline, but we were on the Chiefs end, so we were watching the Chiefs all warm up. And, you know, when you watch Mahomes in person, we saw him play when K-State played Texas Tech in Manhattan. And the thing I remarked to my son at the time is, man, that Mahomes, he's got really skinny legs. That's what I remarked. And guess who could have drafted Mr. Mahomes that year? The Chicago Bears could have drafted him. So we're constantly reminded that every year that, we've sort of missed on that one.
Well, there was 8 other teams that missed too, so, don't feel bad. Shifting over to high school sports, Great Bend volleyball team making some waves here so far this season. Yeah,
they haven't. I guess the consideration for rankings is just your strength of schedule. I guess maybe it hasn't been that great, but they're 13-1. They play Dodge City at home Thursday, and then have their big home tournament Saturday. So big weekend for Great Bend volleyball Thursday night, and then Saturday will be all day at the gym there, and they're off to a great start. I mean, Kara Feist, Kaya Barris, Sadie Spray, Mackenzie Kramer, Emily Hall, Cassie Alligood, Macy Noctigo, Denver Lingo, Emily Hall. I mean, they have a great depth on the front line and great depth defensively. So it's no question it's the best team that Shelley Duvall's had. So they're definitely going to gun for the WAC title. Going to hopefully sweep all the WAC teams and take care of the postseason tournament too. So
who's coming Saturday?
It's usually Phillipsburg, Smith Center, a variety of teams. Usually pretty good competition. Smith Center's the state runner-up last year, and they're always a really good program. Phillipsburg is usually very good too. But they've usually either won it or gone 4-1. So yeah, they'll have a pretty good shot of closing out the weekend in a high note too.
Okay, area football, as we said the pregame show, there's a lot of running clocks in the area over the weekend.
Yeah, there was. When watching Ellenwood and Hutch Trinity, when you watch it, that one didn't surprise. Hutch Trinity had a really big offensive line, very physical offensive, defensive line. And the Heart of America is really a tough schedule. Sterling's very good. Inman was state runner-up last year. Sedgwick always has a good program. So they play a much tougher schedule. So that one didn't surprise me. The one that did was Victoria over Central Plains. Because Victoria was just exactly like Central Plains. Good, strong offensive, defensive lines. And Central Plains got beat at their own game. I mean, they just lined up and just whipped them. And the most interesting thing about Central Plains is the game the other opponent had circled on their schedule from day one, Sylvan Lucas versus Central Plains.
Well, they'll get them this week.
That's right. The story behind that is Alda Wilson. I counted 10 from last year who were on the Sylvan Lucas program from Wilson, and there might be more because there are probably some freshmen who I weren't aware of. But that's there's a lot more than a football game in that ball game, so that'll be a very interesting ball game. Sylvan Lucas is not. Their offensive line is more really quick and fast off the ball, so it's sort of a matchup of different. Because Central Plains is more big and physical, so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. But
you will see. Yeah, you hardly ever see. And they're 8-man D2, and Sylvan, where they send the special teams players out, and all the linemen and the rest of the team joins them later. They've got around 40 kids out for football right now, Jim.
Yeah, I think I counted 41. So Sylvan Lucas has like 33 players on the sideline. Otis Bison, and they got 3 guys on the sideline. So, yeah, 33-3 when these are the players who aren't playing. So, yeah, Sylvan Lucas, great depth, very well coached. They were my sleeper team in 8-man too, knowing that Wilson has good athletes. They were my sleeper team, just knowing that, hey, this is going to be a pretty good team here. And they already were 7-3 last year. So, yeah, I think Central Plains can definitely play with them. They'll definitely have, come back to Jesus' moment this week, because they didn't play very well and just didn't get off the ball. And I'm sure they'll get after them this week, and Central Plains will be ready to play.
Okay, Hoisington gets their test coming up on Friday. They go to Pratt. Pratt gets beat 49-0 by Cheney. Just must be unbelievable. But it'll be fun Friday night, see how the Cardinals do when they go down to take on the Greenbacks at Zerger Field.
Oh, yeah. Hoisington, they play their game. They should be fine. I mean, Tony Moore's playing, all league, borderline all state level. He had 2 touchdowns passing again and 1 rushing. When was the last time Hoisington would have more yards passing than rushing, in 150, 200 yards passing a game? The big surprise was Kyler Dean Russell, 3 touchdowns and 136 yards. So Hoisington's got great depth in the backfield, really nice offensive line. And how tough is that Pratt district? Now you only got Andale in the district, 55 in a row? I lost track. And then Cheney is very, very good. And then Pratt is traditionally not the best team in the Central Kansas, one of the best. So what a tough 3A district that one is.
Yeah, it is. And so that will be coming up on Friday. Larned, they've got a chance to extend their winning streak to 4, taking on a Cimarron team that's in a rebuilding mode right now. The Blue Jays just 0-4.
Yeah, Larned is they're off to a great start, and they're taking care of business. And not only taking care of business, but finished the game. Just like at Nickerson, was almost a 26-20 game at halftime. The Panthers scored a touchdown on the last play of the half. And Mr. Official, you have to help me out here. It was an offensive penalty. Time had expired. Should Nickerson have gotten an extra snap there or no?
Did
it depend on the penalty?
Well, give me the scenario again.
Well, Nickerson scores a touchdown. I think it was a motion penalty or illegal formation penalty, and then the clock had expired on the play, last play of the half. Did they get an extra play?
Was it a defensive penalty?
No, it was on the offense. They scored a touchdown. Nickerson scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
So,
because he's declined it. No,
they wouldn't have declined the penalty. So maybe that's why. If you accept the penalty, they get another play.
I would have to. I wasn't good at that. I wasn't. I'm not good at these. I got to see it on actually happen, because I never was good in math when he said Johnny had 14 cherries in his pocket and he gave 6 of them. Yeah.
As long as you mark the penalty 5 yards and not 6 yards.
Yeah, exactly. You're good. Okay, I've got guys on the sideline for that. Anything else you want to hit on as far as area football today, Jim? Of course, the Panthers, Dodge City.
The big victory for Garden City over Hayes, that totally opens up the WAC. Now
gosh.
Hayes got a loss, Great Bend's got a loss, and Garden and Liberal still have to play everybody else. So, yeah, that's going to be – it could be a 4-way tie. You never know, but it's definitely a possibility for a 3-way tie with each team losing 1 game. So it definitely opens up the league. And I think the WAC is more even this year than it's been in my memory, because Dodge City is still a decent football team. So I think all 5 teams are pretty decent this year.
Okay. Jim Mizunas with us, Great Bend Tribune, back from Kansas City. And, man, it sounds like he had
go Bears.
Yeah.
What's your Bears-Broncos line? Surely the Bears can beat a team that just gave up 70 points.
They're playing this week, aren't they?
That's right.
Is it
They're
Denver?
Playing for the number 1 draft pick. Number 1 draft pick on the line.
Okay, don't miss it. I can't wait. Okay, Jim, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, you're welcome.
Jim Mizunas with us here on Sports Day. Well, another team had a great weekend. How about the Great Bend cross-country team? The girls, ranked number 1 in the state. Mike Corson talking with head coach Lyles Lashley up next.
From the Mayo Money Management Studios, 1590 KVGB, Great Bend, and 95.5 FM K238CK, Hoisington.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Ryan, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
Central and Western Kansas residents, are you looking for a new vehicle? Marmy Auto Group can make it happen. Marmy Auto Group includes Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep and Ram, Chevrolet, and GMC. Marmy Auto Group, your Central and Western Kansas dealer, has new and pre-owned vehicles, or we can special order your vehicle today. If your existing vehicle needs serviced, Marmy's award-winning service department can help. Come to Marmy Auto Group on 10th or marmys.net. Marmys, make it happen.
Sports Day presents On the Prowl with Mike Corson, an inside look at all the sports taking place at Great Bend High School.
Welcome back to Sports Day, 1590 KVGB, 95.5 FM. Mike Corson joined today. It's Monday, so it must be Lyles Lashley Day. Coach, how's it going? Big weekend for you guys.
It's going all right. Just sitting here getting a little work done, working hard on this Monday morning. Yourself, Mike, how are you?
Pretty good. I got to catch up on some sleep this weekend. Lots of scores in football. All kinds of stuff going on.
All right, nice for you to get a little rest. You deserve it.
You guys had an excellent weekend up at Rimrock, but I get all these things on Facebook now, so I see that Wichita Trinity's Clay Shively went up to Minnesota this last week. He's got the state's best 5K time ever, 14:42. I have never seen a 4-minute mile, we could call it, at state track. Is this kid going to be the first to do that this upcoming spring?
I would probably depend on if they're going to run him in the 2 mile and that kind of stuff and what they're going to try to do with him. Would assume last year they just tried to run fast, but it's just kind of hard to run a sub 4-minute mile by yourself. I'm sure he will when he gets to one of those bigger races, especially the ones right after the state track meet. He'll definitely have a chance to run some fast races. Heck, they might even get him some bigger races than that.
All right, enough out of various stuff. We'll go back to you guys. Awesome weekend. Kind of set this up. You guys were at Rimrock, and there's several races throughout the day, and the girls were in the gold division. Kind of what's the escalation from the crimson and the blue to the gold division?
Your gold division is the best schools in Kansas, where the usually 5A, 6A. In case you'll see some smaller schools pop up, especially with individuals that pop up in those races. Then when you get all these out-of-state schools from Oklahoma, Nebraska, Colorado, Iowa, Missouri, and if they're coming that far to race, they're usually pretty dang good.
And they were excellent by their rankings, but Great Bend's right there, 4th place, but you missed the 3rd place trophy by only 2 placings. And when you look at the kind of the rankings there, really probably about 11/100ths of a second. Kind of crazy to be that close with some of those teams.
Yeah, it was. It was good. It was crazy to be that close, but the girls coming in, had a goal of getting the trophy there. We knew we wouldn't beat obviously Lather West, but we closed a little gap on them actually, and then we were the only school that their 6th and 7th runner did not displace our 5th runner, so they weren't in front of our number 5. So our 5 they were way stronger than the other 2 schools that even beat us that we almost caught. So it's kind of nice to go out there and compete with the best of the best, especially in this region, where the Heartland region is known for a really quality region. When you throw in Minnesota and all those other states in there, and Lather West was in the top 2 last year. So it's cool to see those girls have a chance to compete.
Individually, Kansas takes the top 3 runners. We saw them here at our course, Salina Central Junior, Caitlin Roop, and then the little freshman go 1-2, and then a Junction City girl third. On Great Bend side, was it Addie Nicholson set the school record for the Rimrock course last year?
No, it was not Addie. It was Marissa.
Gotcha.
Marissa did at the state meet last year.
Okay.
She was 1933, I believe. And then those two ran faster than she did.
So Saturday, Mackenzie Premer goes 25th overall in 1922, and then Addie Nicholson follows in 30th in 1928. And Marissa Boone right there, 52nd in 2005. Just how awesome individually and as a team for you guys.
Well, I like to look at it and see what we ran last year and compare it this year. You know, last year that Addie and Marissa were close together, and I believe they both ran right at 2015. And if you look at our top five, I mean, I think Eliana was our fifth at 2016, so we basically had 5 girls faster than our number one last year. And if you took, you know, the comparison times from Rimrock to this year, last year to this year, I mean, every one of them were, you know, drastically improved. And thing is, we were in 3 lightning delays, and you know, we ran 3 or 4 hours later than we were supposed to. So that means, you know, we're running close to 1 o'clock. I'm trying 12:30, and so some of those kids hadn't eaten anything since 6 o'clock in the morning, and and then you talk about the temperature difference of, you know, 8:45 to 1 something. You know, it's a big temperature difference, which makes a big deal in the distance races. So I was really pleased how they all competed. But, you know, the boys competed really well too. Obviously, we didn't place great, but you know, Taven's group ran, I think, 18:40 there last year and 17:27, and Braylon and Braden went way faster than last year. And those 2 little freshmen got in there, competed well, and actually tied. I've never seen 2 people tie, but they ran at the exact same time. And but it was, you know, overall it was a good, really good day for us all the way through. You know, not just the girls but the boys also. And then our JV girls ran the day before, and they all competed well also. For them being on the course for the first time, I was really happy with what they did.
Maybe one more here for you. Kind of rare with the private schools, Aquinas, St. James Academy, and maybe even Bishop Carroll over the years. They've got Great Bend number 1 in the 5A polls. You guys beat St. James in that field. What do those rankings mean at this point in the year?
That don't mean a whole lot to me. I mean, yeah, if we're ranked number 1 state, but to be honest with you, it doesn't mean hardly anything at all. There's 5 weeks to go, and St. James has been missing their number 1 girl from last year. I believe she was in an automobile accident. Had concussion symptoms, and she's been running JV the last 2 weeks. So you expect her to come on, and then I believe their number 4 girl went down at the meet the other day. So, you know, our girls ran great, but we know that St. James is going to be there when it counts. And same thing with Aquinas also. Aquinas will be up there too. I believe they're missing their number 1. So it should be set up to be a fun last 5 weeks, and we'll just see where we're going to go.
And where are you headed this week?
Head to Bishop Carroll. So, you know, we don't have much of an off week, so we get to turn around Saturday and run against Cape and Mount Carmel, which we hadn't raced this year. So we're excited they beat us last year at the state meet. So we're excited to strap it on with them and see what we can do.
Coach Lashley, thanks for joining us. Good luck.
Thank you, Mike.
More sports day after this.
Get the power you need for your farm equipment. The power of peace of mind that dependable Cenex lubricants deliver. With decades of proven off-road performance backed by the industry-leading Cenex Total Protection Plan warranty, Cenex heavy-duty diesel engine oils, hydraulic fluids, gear lubricants, and greases are formulated to provide superior protection for load-bearing equipment. The power you need to keep your business running like a well-oiled machine.
Contact American Plains Co-op Fuel Department in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor today.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Zach Strite, commercial lender for Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people. I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. At Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
Barton Community College helped me get a jump start on college with early college opportunities. With Barton's help, I earned my degree at the same time I graduated from high school. You can take classes on campus, online, and even at your high school with teachers you already know. With tuition rates starting at $50 per credit hour for select Kansas high school audiences and scholarship opportunities, it is easier than ever. Barton Community College helped me get one step closer to my dream, and it can help you too. Learn more at highschool.bartonccc.edu.
Sports Day is presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department. Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
Sports Day wrapping up here on a Monday. Steve Webster with Aaron Clark and Landon Winkler running the controls here today. So the Steelers plane makes an emergency landing in Kansas City, Aaron.
They do. Apparently they had some flight problems the time they were supposed to be pulling back into Pittsburgh, which Vegas to Pittsburgh, that's a pretty long flight anyway. The time they're supposed to be landing in Pittsburgh is the time they're departing from Kansas City. That's not a short flight they're going to be on, and tough break for the Steelers. They actually have to go to Houston this weekend next, so it's going to be a quick turnaround. Obviously, after a long flight, you would have liked to get home early today. I saw that the Steelers are giving the players to the rest of today, obviously, and then tomorrow off. They're going to be back in the facility on Wednesday. But a tough break for the Steelers. Maybe Coach Tomlin secretly just a big Taylor Swift fan, just a Swiftie at heart, and he wanted a chance to see her.
So I did not see the Ohio State Notre Dame game Saturday. I wish I would, because those are kind of the classic programs. Low-scoring, defensive-type games. And, of course, Lou Holtz didn't do the Irish any good, basically calling out the toughness of Ohio State. But the Fighting Irish maybe need to count their defenders.
The Notre Dame, I think, prides themselves on academics a little bit, but had only 10 players on the field for the last 2 plays of the game, which is going to hurt, obviously, regardless of the plays. But the final one, Ohio State able to gain some ground, get a run up the middle. That's going to hurt when you're missing a full body that could have helped get some push back on that, and Ohio State ends up winning the game. I just, like you said, felt like an old school kind of, I know Notre Dame isn't Big Ten, but felt like just an old school Big Ten game. Like a low scoring, kind of a slugfest. And talking about Ohio State's toughness, star wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. goes down with an ankle injury in that game, actually ends up coming back for Ohio State. So Lee Corso, before the game, had some pretty bold statements saying Ohio State not really a tough team, and Notre Dame may have had to pay the price.
Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman says moving forward, the Irish will have a signal that will draw penalties to stop the game and provide an opportunity to get an 11th defender on the field.
And
that must be on goal-to-goal situations. Yeah, we're going to do that. They better get that thing, because
right. Better to give up
4th and 3, and we're going to get a penalty. And
better to give up 6 inches on a 4th and goal, half the distance, than give them a first down on 4th. Did you see the Cardinals game, or the Cowboys game, I should say, as the Cardinals were able to upset Dallas?
That was everybody's jumping on the Cowboy bandwagon again, and then.
And
they just pounded it at them.
Yeah, and because it's not a Kyler Murray-led Cardinals team. It's a Josh Dobbs-led Cardinals team that was able to just ground and pound at Dallas with an offensive line that I'm not quite sure how they mitigated Micah Parsons and some of the other threats for Dallas. But good
they
game
can't
for
rush
Cardinals.
the passer if you're just running the ball down their throat, right?
Any given Sunday, and that was on full display.
So you off the wagon with the Cowboys yet?
Yeah, that was just a tough scene, tough look for the Cowboys. Going to be fun to see if they can bounce back.
Okay, tomorrow, Cole Reif on the program. We'll also be talking Ellenwood High School volleyball with Greg Maxwell, and on the prowl with Zach Bartle, Great Bend tennis coach.